Can we start the engine? That is the question. Oh dear. If you remember from the previous video, someone reversed into the truck. Still don't have a front license plate holder. So today's video is a little bit of a will it run or a will it start video, which I love those types of videos on YouTube, so why not have one on my own channel with my beloved rabbit pickup. If you saw the last video I did where I installed this lovely knee bar, then you would have seen at the end of the video that the truck isn't actually starting. It's broken down. It's a miracle that I actually managed to get it back home. I don't know why it's not starting. So in today's video, we are going to be going through troubleshooting, if you will. We're going to go through a few different things, plug in the VAG-COM, see if it's throwing up any codes, and we're going to see why it's not starting. Now, I know what you're thinking. Patagonia must be nice. Someone's doing all right. Not doing all right. It's actually really fake. It's from eBay. It cost me about £10. So a little heads up, if you wanted to look like you've got some money, go to eBay and get yourself some fakeness, and everyone will think you are doing okay, when really you're not doing okay. Now, before we get started with today's video, I do want to give a massive shout out and thank you to a guy named Adam. He's from the Isle of Wight. He came over for the day and he helped me out, taught me so much knowledge went in. Whether or not it sticks is another matter, but I do want to thank him. You'll see him in the clips coming up, and you might actually recognize him. He currently owns one of many, but a Volkswagen Mark II Golf. It has been featured on the front cover of PVW, and he's from the Isle of Wight, right here, and he has come to lend a hand. So that's where you might recognize him from, and he was teaching me so many things. He brought his little iPad thing and we plugged VAG-COM in, and it was just, there was so much. He's actually written me a whole list of things just so that I wouldn't forget. So if anything I say doesn't make sense, I'm sorry. I guess in a way, if you are someone and your vehicle has broken down, if you have a 1.9 TDI, some of this might help you, I don't know, but I'm just documenting things on this channel of what happens and how we got out of a sticky situation. Let's get on with the video. So jumping back to the last video, you would have seen the truck look like this. I've tried a few different things. I've hooked it up to my partner's car, the battery. We have tested the battery. We've got 12 volts. Upon arrival, Adam noticed that the fuel filter is actually quite empty. He went underneath where the fuel tank is and noticed there's a tiny leak where the fuel tank is. It could be that one of the hoses was perished or that one of the clamps wasn't tightened up enough. So we did question, is there actually any diesel in the tank? Even though that before the truck broke down, I remember putting quite a lot in. So the next thing that we noticed is that there is no lift pump or electric fuel pump. I think I'm getting that right. The next thing that Adam did was plug in his iPad, which has VAG-COM, into the OBD port. We found out that the OBD port is absolutely f***ed. The power terminal on the OBD port was completely corroded. The OBD port is actually currently positioned inside the scuttle tray, so obviously it's exposed to all types of weather. In closer inspection of the OBD port, you could see that it was all green and powdery and corroded and just absolutely f***ed. So this is where I go to the notes. So then Adam depinned an old wire and replaced the power feed for temporary use. So the OBD port is now working, so we can check to see if there's any faults. As you can see, the glow plugs are not wired in and there is no fuel pump at all. So the next thing, Adam kindly got his battery from his Mark V Golf, put it over here, connect it all up and see if we can get it started. It's cranking slowly, but it's still not starting. If you are new to the channel, this truck used to have a 1.6 K-Jet or CIS fuel injection if you're in America, with a 3-gear speed box automatic, and so it is now changed. It's now got a PD130 1.9 TDI in here with a 5-speed gearbox manual. If you wanted to see the whole series on the engine swap that Matt did in about 6 days, I've put a playlist together. I'll link it at the end of the video if you wanted to watch it. A few days ago, I ordered a brand new starter motor for the truck. I also ordered a brand new battery from Euro Car Parts, or Car Parts for Less, which they are kind of the same company. So later on, we're going to go pick up the battery. But right now, the next thing is to change the starter motor. Now, I'm glad Adam was with me at the time, because I was just going to fit the starter motor and just crack on. But I didn't realize that when you take off the old starter motor, it's actually attached to the front engine mount. I hope to God I'm getting this right. When you loosen the bolts, when you take the bolts out for the starter motor, you're effectively losing that front engine mount. So what you've got to do is get a trolley jack underneath, support the engine and gearbox in place, and then take out, I mean, in our case, we didn't actually need the trolley jack because we took the bolts out. It was absolutely fine. The engine did not move at all. Just for safety reasons, get a trolley jack, support the engine, then take out your starter motor, because you're effectively losing that front engine mount when you do so. But then, of course, it's not as straightforward as it sounds. So, looking at the new starter motor and the old one side by side, it looks like they're identical. But if you look closely, the trigger wire is actually a little bit different. So, the new one has got like a circle D-shape part to it, and the old one has got like a square rectangle. So what we did was we just attached a spade connector for the time being to get it working and get it fitted. It cranks a lot better, sounds completely different now, obviously with a new starter motor. The old one would just take ages and ages and ages. What a difference. But it's still not starting. So the next thing we're going to do is make sure there's actually diesel in the tank and that the fuel is being pumped up to the engine. That's the next step. So we're going to get a jerry can, head to Morrison's, go to the petrol station, get some diesel, bring it back. Realize that I've misplaced the spout thing, the jerry can, whatever the hell that neck is called. I don't know where that is. So Adam taught me a little trick. You can get like a drinks bottle, cut off one end, and it can be like your little filler neck type thing. And he also showed me this thing where you put a hole in the lid, and you can see it in the clips. Like he did some serious Frankenstein. Like if you're in a tight spot and you're not sure what to do, you use material. He's proper MacGyvered this whole situation, and I was like, this is hilarious. We used the Fanta bottle to obviously fill up in the tank. So we put about 4 litres of diesel in. So then we had about 500 millilitres of diesel hooked up right at the front, so bypassing the tank. And so we're just checking now to see if when you crank it, is the diesel being pulled to the engine. Hopefully I'm saying all this correctly. I am just... Now the next thing we did was we made sure there's enough fuel inside the fuel filter. Now obviously everybody's going to have a different fuel filter, but this one in particular has got like a little bolt or nut on the top of the fuel filter, which is like an air thingy. I really don't know, there's so much information. We loosened this bolt on top of the fuel filter to make sure that all the air is there's no air, right? There's no air trapped in the fuel filter. That's what we did, and then we obviously tightened it back up again. Jesus Christ. We made sure there's no air trapped in the fuel filter. The fuel filter has got it's full of fuel now. And we did this, started cranking again, just to make sure that the actual tandem pump. Hopefully that's right. We just did that to make sure that when you crank it, it is obviously pumping fuel to the engine. Christ. Again?
Yeah.
Still didn't start, but now we know that it's not a fueling issue because we looked at the Fanta bottle, and as I was cranking it, the fuel was going down, meaning it is getting pumped to the engine. So now we know, as we've crossed this off the list, it is not a battery problem, it is not a fueling problem, and it is not a starter motor problem. At this point, we're thinking it could be a wiring problem. So Adam came in underneath, had a look at the fuse box, dropped the fuse box, gave it a crank, and then it fires up. So it's starting, the truck is running, and then he put the fuse box back up to where it's supposed to go. Truck cuts out. Sorry? Running. Right. Oh, there we go. What is that about?
Wow, that is definitely an electrical connection somewhere.
As you can see, it's stop, start, and we're like, oh, right, okay. Weird, isn't it? So all this time it's been the wiring, tracing wires, which wire is the issue, and we found that there is a black and yellow wire that goes up to behind the key ignition barrel, right? And remember, this is a American Rabbit pickup. That yellow and black wire may be different to a UK Euro Caddy or Golf, whatever, but in this case, in this truck, there is a black and yellow wire which goes up to the ignition barrel, but then from the ignition barrel, that same wire goes to the headlight switch right here. Is it the power? I'm not sure. So anyway, this black and yellow wire, which we called the bumblebee wire, was sitting in this little plug, like half in, half out.
The black and yellow cable came loose in the ignition switch plug, and wasn't making constant connection. So when we wobbled it, it broke the connection. So we're going to repin it, put it back in, start the truck, and it's going to work fine.
So many different... Bloody hell.
For anyone that cares, it's X and goes up to the headlights. We don't care about that.
X and goes up to the headlights. Yay!
Yeah.
That's it.
Works now.
It runs. So the end
wire, that's what it was.
the bumblebee wire. The end of the video. Does it run? It does.
At the moment.
Yeah. You can do a deep dive, and on that plug there's like an X, there's some numbers, and I'm pretty sure it's the X. It's a black and yellow wire. It is getting dark. It has shed some light on the matter. I'll put that there. We're underneath the clamshell piece here. We cable tied up all the wires to make sure those wires are all nice and secure, not going anywhere, and obviously put the clamshell back on. With the truck running, just moving a couple of wires just to make sure the truck did not cut out, and we're golden. All this time. And there we have it. The truck starts, it runs. I've been using it for a few days now to go back and forth to work, and I'm super happy. Got the truck back. and I don't have to drive a Nissan Micra again. I don't want to jinx it. Don't jinx it. Got some little recommendations from Adam now that all that has happened. So obviously he recommends a lift pump, which will pump fuel to the filter / engine and remove any air from the system before starting, meaning a quicker, smoother startup and less stress on the starter and tandem pump. He also says that the glow plugs want wiring in to help cold start and smooth out idle, and potentially wire the lift / priming pump to a glow plug relay so they both come on together, or work out the wiring to get them ECU controlled. And also, you've got to remember, the ECU is currently in the rain tray of all places, alongside the OBD port and a whole bunch of our other wiring. I personally would love all of that stuff inside the truck, so it's not to get wet and corroded like the OBD port. I'm really happy, and I'm just very, very thankful, and I appreciate Adam for coming over and spending the day troubleshooting this, going back and forth. And it was a bit of a mystery. It was a bit of like a, well, what the hell is it then? Why is the truck not starting? New battery, new starter motor. Check this out. So I'm going to turn the key. Listen to how quickly this truck starts now. Listen to this. Bosh. How insane is that? Compared to before, when the truck would just, right? It sounds like a new car. No, it doesn't. Thank you for watching today's video. If you got anything out of it, hit the thumbs up button, comment below. Let's get a little conversation going. If you want to add to the discussion of, you know, trouble solving, troubleshooting about will it start, will it run, 1.9 TDIs, if you've had any issues in the past and it was like the stupidest thing to fix it, like in today's video you saw, we went through all the things, diagnosing it, running codes, fuel issues, start them at, you know, all this stuff, and just to find out that it was just one little wire that was just loose behind the ignition barrel. If you've got any stories like that, we want to know about them in the comment section below. And also, this YouTube channel, I want to sort of keep it about adventures in the truck. So I'm going to start to do more videos here that are just about the truck. I know you guys don't want to see me traveling around Australia, and you don't want to see the travel videos. I get that. You want to see truck videos, so that's what in the future I'm going to try and focus on. I've got a lot coming up this year. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel with the notification bell on, because sometimes YouTube doesn't actually push the videos out to subscribers, so make sure you turn the notification bell on so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Of course, thank you again to Adam. I'll leave his Instagram in the description below. Make sure you go and follow him on all the things. He's a great guy. He's a wealth of knowledge. Is that a phrase? Wealth of knowledge. Remember, if you want to help and support the channel and what I do here, go to oldvolks.co.uk, get yourself a t-shirt, get yourself a hoodie, support the channel. It really does help. It means we can make better videos by buying things for the videos. So thanks again for watching today's video. I will see you in the next one. Take care. It's been a while. It's been a while, but we're back. Different from right-hand drive, the fuel box is... Fuel box? What the f am I talking about?